Boyfriend's family made me endure excruciating pain at a wedding, disregarding my physical limitations and causing me immense distress. So for information before I start, I have undiagnosed pain in my back and legs that my doctors are looking into currently. Me and my boyfriend have been together for around 7 months now, and his sister kindly invited me to her wedding. My boyfriend told me he'd really enjoy having me there, so I agreed. The week before, my BF's dad broke his foot and couldn't drive him and BF's mum to the wedding, so my BF agreed to take them. It was agreed we'd leave the wedding around 9:10ish. This was perfect for me as I had to be home to pick up my daughter the next morning at around 10 a.m. The day comes and I drop off my daughter and get ready. We pick up his parents and go to the wedding. It was lovely, although around 6 p.m. I started getting really bad pain in my legs and back. I just put on my comfortable shoes and tried to sit down for everything I could. At around 10 p.m. I mentioned the pain to my BF, asking when we'll be heading off. He asked his mom and she said 30 minutes more, so I thought fine, it is her daughter's wedding. Half an hour came and went, so I asked again and he said he'd ask. At this point I'm feeling like I'm going to cry, so I excuse myself and lay on the sofa in the lobby crying a little. I didn't want to make a scene, so when anybody asked I just said I was a little tired. It was now 11:30 p.m. and my BF come to check on me and said his mom just wanted half an hour more. His mom then appeared and he spoke to her on the other side of the room. She was saying things like, "Oh, she's having a meltdown now." This made me feel horrible, to say the least. Then his sister approached us, saying how unfair it was that we were dragging their mom away. At this point I just left. I couldn't walk home even if I wasn't in pain. I was so embarrassed and angry. My BF says he'll drop me home then come back for everyone else. He goes to tell them, and 10 minutes later he comes back and says that they're all coming now. I later found out that his dad had wanted to leave for ages as he was in pain too. It took my BF shouting at his mom to get her to leave. It's been 2 weeks since the wedding and for 3 days I was unable to stand. My BF had to carry me from my bed to the sofa in my daughter's room and even lift my daughter onto my lap to read her books at bedtime, and I was in bad pain for another week after. My BF went to his mom a couple days ago and tried to explain just how bad I was feeling, but she wasn't listening and said that I shouldn't come over for a while, but my BF stood up for me and said it wasn't my fault. Basically, am I an asshole for an undiagnosed disability? Edit. My BF was staying at mine, so I couldn't leave without him as he doesn't have keys to my house because he doesn't stay at mine when my daughter is there. He was only there when she was this time as I couldn't move and no one else was able to help me. I couldn't just stay up to let him in as I needed to be up the next morning to get my daughter, and I had said 10 a.m. was fine as I thought we'd be leaving at 10 p.m. because his mom didn't want to push BF's dad as he had a bad foot. His mom refused to taxi as she insisted that my BF had agreed to take her home. I also couldn't taxi as my phone had died and I didn't have the money to. My BF wanted to leave at 9:10ish too as he had work the next day. His work clothes were at mine. The drive there and back is like 40 minutes each way, so he didn't want to leave and have his mom complaining about having to wait to go home. It's also a lot of petrol just to please everyone. Also, when I say then his sister approached us, saying how unfair it was that we were dragging their mom away. That's not the bride, it's another sister. After the wedding my BF spoke to the bride and she was a little annoyed that their mom didn't just find another way home. It was agreed that we'd leave by 9:10ish in the conversation W. Here they asked to get a ride as they knew both me and BF had things to be up for. This happens 2 days before the wedding, so I didn't know to make alternative plans. I knew my BF needed to go home around 10 p.m. ladies as he had work. I also wasn't invited till a couple months before the wedding. My BF doesn't live with me. He stays when my daughter isn't here. He's staying at a friend's. That is why he doesn't have key. The only reason he was here with my daughter was because I couldn't do anything and no one else could help me. My daughter's dad isn't around anymore and my family have ability issues as well. I also went to the lobby as it was the furthest away from the actual party room. I was crying in pain, not because I was sad or wanted to go home.